I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here at the Innovate Finance Conference in London. Really pleased to be joined by Nick Ogden. Thanks for coming along.
That's all right, my pleasure. Thank you.
So you're the executive chairman of a brand new bank called Clearbank.
Correct.
Now tell me why this is so exciting.
The UK market has not had a new clearing bank for 250 years. If you look back in time in 1960, where there were 16 clearing banks, natural market consolidation has reduced that to 4. The arrival of the internet in the middle 90s started to change the way that consumers looked at different consumption of financial services. And so you had 4 very large banks, legacy IT platforms, a whole market dynamic change in relation to the internet. You had to change that somehow. And I think that's the opportunity. If you're going to change a market, you can do one of 2 things. You can either fragment one of the existing incumbents, and what you achieve by doing that is you change the number, but you don't change the dynamic, or you can create new. We chose to do the create new.
And what opportunities does that open up for, because you offer services for other banks
Correct.
and allow people to offer banking as a service, as a consumer, what is that going to make a difference for me?
The choice of current accounts for UK consumers is very limited, as you know. There are around 400 already regulated organisations that could choose to provide current account services to their customers. That would massively change the way that people manage their own money and make them financially inclusive. I think one example, the biggest example, is within the building society sector. 44 building societies, 39 of them without current account products. 3 million customers who are not financially inclusive with the person who provides their largest personal financial transaction, their mortgage. That's daft, right? Because the relationship that you should have with the person that lends you the most money should be as tight as you can make it. For lending, borrowing, savings, whatever you want to do, you should make that tight. And historically, that's not been possible because of the cost of market entry, the reliance upon agency services which have been downstream from effectively the existing banks in the marketplace. And so what Clearbank's done is change that market dynamic to allow those organisations, building societies, the credit unions as an example, to stand back and say, well, actually, now we can consider providing those services. The cost of entry has disappeared, the time to enter has disappeared, and it's a new bank, so neutral, independent, cash held at the Bank of England. It's a complete transformation.
So it's important for consumers, but it's also important for small businesses. So if I'm a small fintech company, it would also be important for me. Is that right?
It is. Every fintech needs a bank account. You know, everybody needs a bank account, really. And quite often, fintechs go to talk to a bank about, got an idea, set up a new company. What are you going to do? Going to be a fintech. Aha. And the shades come down, the regulatory questions get asked, the fintech's not normally geared up to understand the questions they're being asked, or they may know the questions they're being asked. Still, opening a bank account under those environments is quite challenging. So what we're looking to do is to change that. Doesn't mean that we're going to say yes to everybody, absolutely doesn't mean that. What it does mean is that we want to open the marketplace up, and if a fintech comes to us and they haven't got the correct KYC, AML process, financial crime processes or whatever, we will pass them out to organisations that will help them tune their business and get it ready for purpose, rather than just saying no, because no is the easy answer.
Now, are you doing this just for fintechs, or are you doing it for any other small business?
Just fintechs.
Okay. And it's interesting because when we were speaking before, there's an idea about financial inclusion, and that's one of the ideas behind the UN Sustainable Development Goals is financial inclusion.
Yep.
But one of your messages is that actually we need to fix what's going on at home before we move abroad. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that it's ridiculous that you define the access to financial services by social economic groups. It's like nuts. Why, a family may well be living in a rundown area of an inner city. They may get paid cash because that's the way it works. All right? They may go to a credit union and then they may borrow £200 or £300 a couple of times a year or more. All right? They may pay all of that back every time on time. But they don't have a debit product, they don't have a debit card, they don't have a bank account, they stand in the supermarket with cash. That's financial exclusion as far as they're concerned. What we're doing is providing those credit unions the capabilities, if they choose to offer current account, they're authorised to offer current account, they can do that. So that effectively that person can take their cash, they can give it to the credit union or pay it into a post office. We've got 10,400 branches of Clearbank via the post office. Pay the cash in and operate a banking service as a bank account. Starts to build a visible track record of their credit history, their expenditure and all the rest of it, brings them in. Doesn't mean they're going to be given money. This isn't about borrowing or whatever. It's about making them inclusive as part of the infrastructure and systems that exist for the vast majority.
Now this is in the UK, but I understand you're also going to be moving into Africa.
We've been approached by one of the partners we're talking to about providing exactly the same technology and capabilities in Southern Africa. And there is given the platform that we built with Microsoft over the course of the last 3.5 years, it's very easy for us to do that. Or to North America, or to France, or to Germany. It's very simple for us to do that. What we are doing is enabling regulated or authorised financial services businesses in those locations who see the opportunity to create new financial services and models, but giving them the technology and the capability to do that, which today doesn't exist.
Nick, thank you so much for stopping by my table, my Hub Culture table here
Super.
at the Innovate Finance Conference, and I'm Edie Lush.